Well, welcome to Family Business World. I am your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell, and I have a very, very special guest, Andy Wang. Welcome from Runnymede Capital. Thank you for taking time to join us on the show. And as you know, what we try to do is highlight multi-generational businesses, or if they're not multi-generational, businesses or individuals in family business who are doing interesting things. And so Andy and his family represent both. And so tell me a little about Runnymede.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me, Dr. Dale. It's so good to be here.
Honored to be here.
Well, I think that the problem is that the financial industry likes to create very complex products that are difficult to understand. And oftentimes those products are sold by salespeople, sometimes aggressive salespeople, and it's hard to tell. Are they motivated by a healthy commission, or are they truly trying to match you with the product that's right for you?
Right.
And making financial mistakes cost you time and money.
Absolutely.
And we believe that if you're confused, you'll lose. So that's where Runnymede Capital comes in. We're a family-owned and operated business. We've been in business for 26 years. My father, previously director of research at the Bank of New York. He also was president of their money management subsidiary, Beacon Capital Management. So he ran the bank's pension fund as well as outside clients. So we've been working with clients for a really long time. And at Runnymede, we believe that a plan is really the beginning of financial peace of mind.
Well, so tell me about your dad. So how did your dad get into financial services? What's his history? And your mom's part of the business too, as I understand.
My parents, my brother, and me.
Wow,
Yeah.
great, excellent. So tell me a little bit about because I think our audience is really interested in kind of the origins of family businesses. And so how did your dad and mom get into this?
Well, my dad came to the United States from China around age 13 and didn't really speak a lot of English. It's funny because he tells me that he learned English by reading comic books.
Really interesting.
And he did well in school. He went to Yale University. And when he went to school, he wanted to be a doctor, actually. He had a vision of coming up with a cure for cancer. He wanted to go into research and become a medical doctor. While in college, he found that, one, he really didn't enjoy the biology classes. He did not like the prospect of having to study a dead body or a cadaver. And also the language. He was studying German at that time. He didn't enjoy German. So he laughs today because he says, well, he's kind of a financial doctor now. Because similarly, we work with clients to come up with a plan. We can provide objective advice. We can create a financial roadmap for our clients. And then together we can implement a plan and put that together. So in many ways, we feel like we are kind of doctors because we can diagnose a problem and hopefully come up with a solution that will suit the client's diagnosis.
Well, again, and it's amazing. I mean, 13, not speaking the language, going to Yale. I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, but I went to Princeton, so Yale is my enemy. But I admire anybody who's gone to Yale.
You have a much nicer campus.
And so you've really built that. And so now your brother's an active part of the business. You're members of, as the audience knows, I'm a professor at Fairleigh Dickinson University, run the Rothman Institute, and we have a Family Business Alliance. You've been long-term members and both active members. And your focus has really been not only in financial services, not only just advising family businesses and others, but really being part of the community. And so before we get to Buy Local NJ, were you active in the community in other ways? Was Runnymede doing some things? Or
I think it's a transformation for us. Right. I think that all of us, my brother and I have been working at Runnymede, both of us, for over 20 years now. And our backgrounds tend to be more as analysts and portfolio managers. So our tendency is to be very comfortable sitting at our desk with our heads down and reading a lot of research reports, reading about companies and understanding where did management come from? Were they promoted from within, or did they come from outside companies? And if they came from outside, what did they do in their previous job? Were they successful or not? So we were also fortunate that because my dad came out of the Bank of New York, one of the oldest banks in America, he was very fortunate to have clients on day one, the bank included as one of them. So we weren't forced, like many firms who are starting from scratch, to go hit the pavement and really focus on sales and marketing. For us, we had the benefit. We like doing our research, and it's been a more recent thing that we understand the importance of being involved in our communities, to work on things that are bigger than ourselves, and making those connections really is invaluable.
That's again, I got my MBA from Wharton, and many of my Wharton classmates are on Wall Street, and they barely have time for lunch. Lunch is a luxury, and barely have time for dinner and yet you're able to really serve clients well, but also do some things in the community. And I think that's a testament to parents. Now your mom has a role in the firm. Tell me a little bit about your mom.
She does. My mom keeps the boys in line and makes sure that we're doing our work, and she's the most organized. So really making sure that our office is running smoothly.
Right. Okay. So she really is the back office, and really the most important. Anybody in financial services knows it's the back office that really makes a business successful or not successful.
Yep. She makes sure that the bills get paid,
and
everything is functioning smoothly.
So let's talk about. I want to talk about now because we'll spend much of the interview about the Buy Local NJ. And so where did that idea come from, and what is it? What is Buy Local NJ?
Buy Local NJ is something that we've been having a lot of fun with. It was actually my brother's idea. He and I were having lunch one day in the office, and he was just speaking out loud, saying that we have so many boxes coming from Amazon to both our office and at home because of the convenience. But there's a consequence to that convenience. And when you're driving down Main Street in your town, it's likely that there's a vacant storefront. Or there's a second vacant storefront. Or depending on where you live, you may have a lot of vacant storefronts. And we don't want that to be the case, because the businesses on Main Street, they add character, they add value to our communities. They provide the gathering places for us to go with our friends and family and make memories. So we felt, what can we do? What is something that we can do to actively help support small businesses? And we have a vested interest as a small business ourselves.
Right, absolutely.
So we decided that, as business owners, we realized that the consumer, all of us, have changed the way that we behave. Because if your dishwasher broke last night, what are you going to do? What are the odds that you're going to go to a big box store and rely on the salesperson to advise you on what model to buy? Not likely, right? The first thing you're going to do, probably you're going to pull out your phone, or you're going to go to the computer, you're going to search Google, and you do your research. And we feel like business owners, we're all busy running our businesses. We're not quite where the consumers are, right? There's a gap there. So we decided, why don't we do short form videos where we can go out to business owners in our community? That can be restaurants, that can be service businesses. It runs the gamut. A lot of family businesses with long histories. And we can spotlight local businesses in our community. And what's interesting is that the business owners in town, they're integrally involved in the community. Oftentimes, they have children in the school systems. They support the schools. They support local fundraisers. They're the ones who sponsor the Little League teams.
Absolutely.
And the big companies, right, when we're shopping online, that money doesn't really get recycled throughout the community, whereas small business owners, they're creating local jobs. Those employees have lunch locally, and it's really a virtuous cycle.
And that's really the impetus behind the show, which is why I really wanted to talk to you. That businesses, small businesses, family businesses are 65% of the gross domestic product, of the employment. 85% of all new money comes from in new businesses. That's where the innovation is, and so often we get so kind of fooled to think that, well, Silicon Valley is the only place where there's innovation, and technology is the only type of innovation. But it's the local family businesses that are doing that, and unfortunately, very few people are doing what you're doing, which is why I applaud you and your brother and your whole family in doing Buy Local. And Towards the end of the show, we're actually going to see a video, one or two of the videos. But what have you found as you've talked to some of these businesses? What are some of the more interesting things you've found as you've talked to these small and family businesses?
Well, we found that in our own experience, which matches, is that many small, medium-sized local businesses have a hard time with marketing and PR. There are just limited opportunities. And there are local newspapers that are likely to cover a grand opening. But many business owners that I've talked to over the last year, which has been about 50 business owners, they tell me that a second anniversary, a fifth anniversary, it's hard to get the word out. And because of that, we've got to take advantage of technology. We have to learn how to connect with our customers either online, on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever your customers spend their time. And that's why Buy Local NJ, it's been a really fun thing, because we get to speak to different business owners, we learn about different businesses. Everybody has a passion for the business that they've started and that they're involved with. And these short videos can be shared. I mean, I think that every community has a Facebook group, every town. And if you're a resident, you're looking for a plumber, or you're looking for a painter, or you're looking for a restaurant to host a 40th surprise birthday party or 50th surprise birthday party. You start asking the community, right? You're crowdsourcing. You're like, where's a good place? Who's reliable? And I feel like Buy Local NJ, with a short video, it's something that the business owners can share or their customers can share. So it's a small way for us to sort of step into the 21st century and meet our customers where they're spending a lot of time.
And where they're at and who they are. And so, as you know, this year we started at Fairleigh Dickinson University Rothman Institute the Family Business Week. And that's shortly before that, that's when we learned about your wonderful program. But the whole idea is to get people to identify and support family businesses. And we can't underscore enough that money goes back into the community. One of the challenges is that some of our political leaders across the country don't seem to understand or value family businesses. Recently, there is legislation in New Jersey about this 1099 rule, which basically will limit people who are trying to have, as some people call, a side hustle, where they're actually working using their expertise so that they can make money to pay their property taxes. And so, small businesses feel that pain and feel like they're under assault. We're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to come back and continue this, and we're going to see a video on Buy Local NJ.
Shelter dogs aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write. The ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
Add us on social media to watch bloopers, behind-the-scenes footage, previews, and more.
I work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I'm off the clock, I gotta get stuff done. So when I need a snack, I need something healthy, tasty, and easy to eat. Like wonderful pistachios without the shells. They're protein-powered, delicious, and great on the go. And that's perfect for me. Thanks, Liz. A woman without a lot of time.
Whether you're a gourmet cook or just want to eat like one, visit Rostelli Market Fresh, your home for the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry are cut fresh to order.
Welcome back to Family Business World. I'm here with Andy Wang from Runnymede Capital Management, and we're talking about Buy Local NJ, a program that they voluntarily have started to really talk to small businesses. And so I was saying that there are a lot of legislation, and whether it's family leave or other things, which are well-meaning, which work real well with big companies, but small companies have a difficult time doing that. But also, when you start looking at policies, I think it's important to really look at the impact of the business. So often we look at, okay, what does a business make, or what do they do, but how much goes back into the community? So in Buy Local NJ, I think you've put together a montage of different. Tell us, we're going to watch a minute video in a second, but kind of tee it up. What's on that video?
Well, there's so many different types of businesses that we visit. Really big variety, from sort of children's party places to fine dining restaurants to a diner. I mean, it really, so many small businesses, so many family businesses. It's fascinating speaking and meeting with all of them. The common thread that we really get excited about, again, it comes back to that virtuous cycle, and it's the fact that every single business owner that we speak to, they are supporting their local community in some way. Absolutely. So that's what I wanted to show, a little montage of some of our visits with the business owners over the last year.
Excellent. So we're going to watch the video now.
How do you support local charities and causes?
Why is it important to have fundraisers and toy drives?
What are you doing in terms of community impact and giving back?
So we really pride ourselves on, both at our Union location and here in New Providence, on becoming real integral parts of the community that we serve.
We donate probably sometimes more than we can afford.
We work with several food pantries in the area.
So I'd like to support locally as well as globally.
Forming a partnership with local businesses only strengthens our downtowns. It makes it easier for us to give back to the community. It helps other businesses. So it's more like creating a virtuous cycle. Everybody helps each other.
And just stay involved. I think it's important for all businesses just to be involved. Returns, you can't put a price on the returns.
Well, that's a fantastic video, an amazing diversity of businesses, and so how has that been received? How have you shown that in many places, or?
This is like a debut for.
No, this is the debut. We're honored to have the worldwide premiere of that. But as I said, I mean, there's so many amazing stories, and there's so many wonderful shops out there, and yet they're overlooked. I'm amazed that as I talk about family businesses, and I'm telling people in the legislature, people in big business and small business, people don't understand that most people are involved in a family business. Many of the Fortune, I think it's 40% of the Fortune 500 companies started as a private family business, and then became very, very big. And now tell me about your brother. Now your brother does. Now he started that. Now you split interviews, or how do you decide who does the interviews?
You made a reference about not having time. This project certainly is a passion project. We spend a lot of time, and it's almost comical to have financial advisors who have no background or training in video production or audio. We learn as we do.
That's the way to do it.
We make the mistakes, and that's how you learn really, really quickly. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, Runnymede Capital as a business, I mean, we're sponsoring our time, and we're really paying for the production of all these videos. We're not charging the businesses to date, and really it is our way of giving back, and we hope that that's good karma that comes back to us in a positive way. And I have no doubt that it is, and it will.
Absolutely. And so I interviewed the owners of RV and TV, Keith and Lori Reynolds, And one of the things they're doing with this show, and you're doing there, is people want real TV. They want natural TV. They don't mind if there are mistakes or other things. They want to see that people are genuine and they're real and they're just like them. And I think that's what you're doing, and that's what I'm hoping we're doing with the show, meeting wonderful people like you. So while I have you, and again, you work with a lot of family businesses and other businesses, and people are, as we end this year, in a pretty good shape economically. What do you think the future holds? I mean, who knows? We have impeachment hearings, we have global chaos, we have all sorts of things going on. What do you think is going to happen, or what kind of advice would you give a family business owner or an average person?
Well, all year there have been so many worries. There have been a wall of worries because we're on this 10-plus year bull market run. So just based on duration of this bull market, some people are worried. There's so much going on in Washington, D.C. We don't even need to have a political discussion, but there's so much uncertainty in Washington. That's a big concern. How will that impact the stock market?
That's one thing everybody agrees on, that there's uncertainty.
Yeah,
whether
absolutely.
You're a conservative, a liberal, or independent.
And then the trade war with China is a big one. Right. Whenever you have the two largest economies in the world battling, having tariffs, that impacts world trade, and not just with the U.S. and China. It impacts everybody. That is tremendous uncertainty. I mean, I've talked to smaller business owners who are impacted by that. Manufacturing companies in the middle of our country, suddenly they're shut off from selling to China. And they had turned to exporting after the financial crisis because that was a pivot that they could do to make up for the fact that demand at home had slowed down for a while. So they're like, this is tremendous uncertainty.
Right.
But the stock market has done extremely well. The market's up over 24% this year. A lot of people did not see that coming. We look at a lot of data, and we believe it's data centric. You can't look at the news headlines because they're just trying to stoke your emotions to get you to read articles and watch their commercials and advertisements, especially the 24-hour news cycle.
The news cycle, right, exactly.
Not a lot of depth in some of the reporting, unfortunately. So we look at a lot of data. We're watching really closely for signs of any kind of economic slowdown, because if you have a recession, that's when you're likely to see a market correction. We don't see that yet.
Right.
But again, I think that we understand that most people, financial decisions can cause a lot of overwhelm, a lot of worry. Absolutely. And again, it comes back to having a plan, having a roadmap, because you and I had to get here by a certain time to the studio. This is my first time here. If my phone battery had died or my phone suddenly didn't work, I would have been in a panic if I didn't have my Google Maps or Apple Maps or Waze to get here. Absolutely. And I think that most people do not have the equivalent financial map. Really just trying to guide you. It can be imperfect. It's not set in stone, but you've got to have some goals set. You have to have a time frame set so that you know where you're going and that you can make some adjustments. It gives you some context.
You have to plan. And I used to be a certified financial planner before I got my MBA award, and planning was always part of it. One of the things is you talk about the China, U.S. There's an African proverb that when the elephants fight, the grass suffers, and so that's what's happening. So as you look at that kind of plan, and you're right, it's almost like people are on are traveling to California without GPS, and when they're with their financial plan.
Yeah, no wonder that money is like the number one stressor in America.
Right. In America,
if I had no map and I had to get to California, I'd be having some heart palpitations too.
Exactly. The other thing though, we've borrowed nationally a lot of money, and the cost of capital is low, so we're not feeling that pain. But the second that goes up, it's an instant recession. Am I the only one that kind of sees that we're borrowing all this money, and yet that debt is going to come back to haunt us at some point? And I don't hear a lot of people talking about that. I I don't understand it. It's not conservative. It's not political. It's just, it's the numbers. So talk about that.
Dale, we're living in a strange time because, I mean, the U.S., at least we still have growth. We are printing money and we have growing deficits. And it's unusual because we're increasing our deficit. We haven't even had a recession yet.
Right,
we're kind of doing it ahead. We're preempting the recession. So, you know, there are those who are worried that when recession does come, do we have the powder, right? Do we have things to do? But looking globally, I mean, a lot of the European countries, they have been in recession. They have negative interest rates. China has definitely been impacted by the trade war. They've had slowdown. Can the U.S. remain in a vacuum? So far, we have. The question is, how long can that take place? Which is why we're looking at the data.
Which is why more than ever, people really need to find their financial advisor. And well, we're at the end of time, and it's an honor to have you here. And as I said, there are a whole bunch of financial advisors out there, but very few of them actually give back to the community, the small business community, the way that you and your family have. So Andy, thanks for coming on the show. And you know, maybe we'll see you again somewhere, but we're hoping to show some of your videos. We have a segment where we want people to send their questions to dcaldwell@fdu.edu, and we'll get some answers. They could be financial, operational, conflict questions, but dcaldwell@fdu.edu, and we'll send you some answers.
Yeah, and if I can just close by saying that if there are business owners out there interested in being featured at Buy Local NJ, go to buylocalnj.com and reach out. Happy to come out and see you. And if you need help with your financial overwhelm, if you need planning, we're at Runnymede.com.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.